You ready to rock out with? Hosted by me, Danny Faith.
So, hey and welcome back.
Hey, it's good to be back. How are you?
Good. Stressed.
Oh dear. That's not so good. Not a good start.
It's fine. I'm on holiday soon. It's fine.
All right. Yeah, that's always a good thing.
What have you been up to since we spoke last?
It's been a year. It
Yeah.
has been a year. At the risk of going off on a massive tirade of events, there's been a few key things that have sort of happened. We licensed the album out to a European label.
Ooh.
And this was supposed to be this really exciting thing. And we started getting really great press for the album. And it was like unexpected. You know, you make the best music you can always. You know,
Yeah.
I think every band out there always does try to. But when you start getting recognized for it, it means a lot. So when people start ordering the album and then it never turns up, and we start getting people saying, where's our album? Understandably, we start contacting them saying, where's our album? They're saying, oh, the war in Russia, the war in Ukraine, we can't get the albums out. It's like, so how long are we looking at? And it just went on and on. And that was a bit demoralising, you know, because it took wind out of sails.
Well, yeah, because you're getting blamed for something that ain't your fault.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of that going around at the moment.
Okay. It's the state of the world, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we made amends to those people by releasing it ourselves. We completely broke the record deal. We didn't care, you know. We just went behind their backs and did whatever we wanted, which is kind of punk rock in a way, you know.
Well, yeah, but also if they're going to not stick to end of their deal, didn't they break the contract first?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We actually got into expensive litigation with them, which for a band our size is not fun, because you want to be spending that money on more fun things to do, you know. So
yeah, like promotion and tours.
Exactly, you know. And then so we got that sorted and we got rights to that back. So we're going to re-record that album and put it out ourselves, which I think is a much better idea. And to make up for it, we released 2 albums that were recorded in 2 weeks, and they were released after those 2 weeks, much to the annoyance of Sean and the manager Lizzie. But they came out, and we sort of put them out just as a goodwill thing, because over the years you amass these songs that perhaps you don't get around to finishing, or they don't fit the album, and we put them out, and they picked up steam, and we were like, what's going on? Like we had a breakout hit from a song that I famously said, oh, we're not releasing that, it's a bit twee, isn't it? And we put it out, and it's like the most popular one we've done, always the way. So
people want twee right now, don't they?
You know, I can understand it.
We're getting bad news shoved down our throats left, right and centre. You want something that's like, oh yeah, there it is.
The amount of times I've watched the Goonies over the last few weeks just to take the edge off. You know, I've gone back to my childhood. I've regressed. Anything with 80s synths in it, I'm like, I'm home.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the world needs it. And the bad thing was, this song took off. We didn't make a video for it or nothing. It just it's like Spotify started pushing it. And we were like, great. And then we got an email from Spotify saying, suspicious activity on your account. We were like, no shit, people are listening. Like, that is suspicious. You're right. But can I guide you to our Spotify for Artists page you so kindly gave us? And they did. And on there it said, Spotify algorithmic playlists. 100%. So I was like, okay, so you've been playing people. Yeah. And then they took the song off.
No. Oh my God.
They took it off because people were listening to it.
What?
Yeah.
It defeats the object, doesn't it?
I was like, can we please just get a minute for things to go our way? So we said to them, yes, we'd like to appeal, funnily enough. And people were like on the internet, oh, that won't go well. They'll bury you in the algorithm. No, they put it back up a month later. So we had a big celebration party online, you know, doing our thing. And we just thought, what was that all about? You know, what was that all about? They're a streaming service. People were streaming it.
Yeah, that's the idea.
You were telling them to listen to it. It was crazy. And so we had all the time, we're making this new album because we're in a really sort of creative period and we're just enjoying doing it. And so we put our first single out and we're just nervous. Every time you're hitting the button, you're like, do we want people to listen to this? Are we going to get cancelled by Spotify if people enjoy it? God, what a time to be in a band! What a time to be in a band!
Talking of singles, obviously you've just released. Well, it was just released when this first got sent to me, but it's been a month.
It's been a month, though, isn't it? Really, like, that works in every sense of the.
Yeah, we'll blame that on like my laptop dying, buying a new one, then that one dying.
Oh,
yeah.
Honestly, I feel for you. That is no fun.
So yeah, the new single, The Depression Session, which has been out for a month. How has it been perceived?
Well,
is that the one that got buried?
No. There was one called 10 Years Time that got buried, which was like a soppy, doe-eyed thought process of just enjoy where you are. In 10 years' time, you'll look back and wish you were here, no matter how bad it is, And that sort of did well. And I think people for a second thought we were going to turn into this super optimistic, uplifting rock band. And I was like, I don't think you've been paying attention if you think that's how it's going to end up. So when we started penning the album, we were having some personal difficulties with people involved in the band and the organisation around us. And it was very hard not to sort of want to write about that, and bring it in. I'm very affected by what's going on around me at the time. And we were going to call the whole album The Depression Sessions. We thought, okay, what a great name. What a great name for an album, And then we were penning all the songs, and this was always called The Depression Session. And we started posting about it on social media, and people started giving us that look, when you told me, what's it called? The Depression Sessions. They were like, oh, does it sound like Paradise Lost? No, it's quite a bouncy, upbeat song. Why'd you call it that for? But shut up. Yeah, I'm the artist. I'll call it what I want. And then we started to think, are we setting ourselves up for people expecting some real metal onslaught,
Yeah.
And at the 11th hour, we found out that there was an album already out there called The Depression Sessions. And we were like, right, so we changed the name of the album and the song can stay as this and it's cool. We're in good territory there. And it's gone down really well. The album's called Disco Metal.
Yeah, what?
Well, what happened? See, now Sean always maintains that I phoned him up drunk one morning and told him I had his whole day planned out for him and we're going to be doing disco metal. And he does he's got this whole brilliant story of this hour-long phone call where I went on this massive rant about disco metal.
Which you can't remember.
I've never said that word in my life. That's not even a word I'd heard of until he started doing it. And then he starts making tweets and videos about it and all these comedy skits and stuff. I'm like, Sean, this never happened. But he maintains it does. And it kind of lodged in the back of our heads. And when we started playing around with artwork for the album, and we were listening through all the tracks on there, and there's this really big electronic thump going through the whole record. It sounds like we're having a great time, and we were. And so Sean looked at me, I looked at Sean, Lizzie looked confused at us. And we all said at the same time, we all went, disco metal. And it's the only way to do it. Because I
saw the word, and honestly, I won't lie, I instantly pictured Kiss, but ABBA.
Yeah, exactly that. With Rob Zombie doing the production.
Yeah, and I was like, Christ, what have they done?
Well, yeah. I think without an accompanying track, it may be a confusing title. But I used to love albums like that. I used to love albums where you didn't know what you were getting. Like you think of like White Zombie and their really long album titles.
Yeah.
Like, you could have just called it Volume 1, mate. Would have been all right.
Yeah.
But Astro Creep is fine. Just leave it there. But yeah, it was confusing. But once we release the record as a whole, I think it's going to make a bit more sense how it all feeds into each other. Because it is kind of based around, how online there are people going through hard times and they need to share that. and
Yeah.
and it's completely valid and real and important that people do that. And I talk about it openly, my difficulties, and we will try to. So not to belittle that in any way, but there are those out there who it's almost like they're putting it out as a disclaimer in case they do something wrong.
Yeah, it's become a bit of a trend. Like, oh, you've got this, well, I've got it like this.
Yeah, like, you know, you see it on the story. It's like people with ADHD. You're like, oh, do you have ADHD? Well, and they start doing all this, and you're like, so you don't?
Yeah.
Because I think if any adult born in, say, my generation, who grew up before the internet, then lived through the internet, and now gets their information in 10-second bursts, if you were to sit and do a test for attention deficit disorder, you would probably fail.
Yeah.
Because our attention spans have been destroyed by media. Doesn't mean we necessarily have those difficulties as a child. So we were. That's another story. I don't. Welcome to Diagnosis with Dr. Crawford. What am I doing? So,
Hey, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I had to wait patiently for the internet to bloody dial up.
you felt that pain, right?
Right? Yeah.
Send and receive on email because it cost you money every time you did it.
Yeah. Hanging up the phone at like 58 minutes.
Oh yeah,
Call back
94% downloading. Someone picks the phone up.
Yeah.
You know. Oh god, the pain. So we were doing that, and we sort of identified this thing, and we were like, I kind of want to write a song about this thing, where it's almost like people put it out there as a warning. They may be annoying sometimes, you know. And so, for example, it's like if I went out last night and I got drunk and I said the wrong things and upset people, in the morning I've got to face that.
Yes.
I've got to own up to it and be like,
You made your bed buying it.
yeah, I'm an idiot. You know, like, it's not a surprise to you at this point. I'm an idiot. But you have to own up to it. They, who are experiencing this phenomenon, want to put it out there, so they don't want to be blamed for anything ever.
Yeah.
So if they say the wrong thing, it's because I've got this. Oh, I upset you. It's because I have this problem. It's like, no, you don't, because you would keep it to yourself.
Well, that's the problem I find. Get deep for a second. Suffering with actual diagnosed since I was a teenager mental health conditions. I don't speak about it online.
No.
I put a positive persona out online. My private struggles are my private struggles.
Of course.
And then you get people going, "Oh, I've got this, and you're just sitting there going, "No, you don't.
No, you don't. No, you don't." And
You're not on 20 tablets a day. No, you don't.
You don't wake up and have a bag of Skittles just so you can function relatively normally. Relatively being this huge underlined word, you know.
Yeah.
I've always struggled, and I've been quite open about. When I was a young man, I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and a lot of it was probably puberty hitting as well at the same time.
Good fun, yeah.
Exacerbated the whole thing. And fortunately, with medication, and I was one of the lucky ones, was able to get it all under control, you know. But that's not one of the popular ones.
No.
That's not one of the... You still say that, and people still think back to that Joe from EastEnders, and they all think they're in danger and stuff like this. It's like, well, no, you're not. But people won't claim to have that one. They want one of the little ineffective ones that makes them a bit kooky and can't be blamed.
Yeah, anxiety tends to be the trendy one, doesn't it?
It does. And
See, I've been quite... I don't talk about it, but I've been open in the fact that I have borderline personality.
Mm.
And people don't understand it because it's not a trendy one.
No, it's not one of the ones that's, you know, it's a bit like... I used to work in the benefit section, and I used to assess benefit claims as a young man. I was a masochist, right? It's proof that I can put up with anything.
You
right?
hated life, didn't you?
I was hating life. I was hating every second of it. And you get these people come in, and they come in waving their letters around. And you're like, wow, that letter's dated 2 days ago. And it's like, this says I owe you a tenner. Right, and what's that all about? I'm depressed. I can't handle this. I'm like, wow. With my experience of depression, you wouldn't have opened that letter, let alone come straight down here. You would have put it off until your door was being kicked in because you couldn't get out of bed. So tell me, how depressed are you? You
Yeah.
know, it's like,
Come back and talk to me when you got the bailiffs knocking at your doors because they're taking you to higher court for the money you owe. Yep.
exactly that. And again, I'm not trying to invalidate anyone here, but there are people using these things in a certain way. So we came up with this buzz phrase. It became a little silly thing. It was like, say, if I went online and made a drunken post about something and upset a load of people, can't imagine that happening, but let's say that happened. And I do that, and I wake up in the morning, everyone goes, "What was up with you last night?" I was like, "I had a little bit of a depression session last night," you know, and that's where it sort of came from. So I don't want to be blamed for anything. So let's blame it on this invisible thing that isn't actually only conditional as to when I'm in the wrong, basically.
Yeah.
And it went down really well. People accepted the disco. We were, and it was always a risk, you know, whenever you sort of incorporate new elements in. You know, you can alienate some of your fan base, but you got to invent. Inventing's good. And also, I wanted. Now we've got live gigs being sort of played. Yeah, you get a very clear idea of what's going to be fun.
Yeah.
On stage, and me standing there playing riffs for 7 minutes. It's great if those people are only there to see you. It's not so great if they're not.
Yeah, if you got a room full of other musicians, you're good.
Yeah, absolutely. And who wants that? Because none of them buy tickets, do they?
No.
No. They don't buy anything. And also, they won't like your post, but they will send you a private message going, "It's good, that."
Yeah.
Thanks. That will help me in the algorithm.
No, that's. I think stuff like that is just leave it on the album.
Yeah, exactly.
You want fast and fun when you're live, don't you?
You do, and you want it in every aspect of life, really, don't you? I remember when I was a kid, it's like, get a new album, skip through it, find the fast ones, throw myself around like a lunatic. Nothing's changed, you know.
Talking of lunatics, obviously the song is quite the song is quite meaningful. The cover,
The cover.
yes. Now for my birthday, I got a pile from my mum of Halloween ducks. So when I saw a pink duck, I was intrigued. But then I listened to the song and I was like, "What the fuck?" So please, for the love of God, how does a pink rubber ducky translate to what the song is even about? Or did you just go, sod it?
Oh man, that's so cool. That's officially the greatest question of all time. There's your screen capture there. That's brilliant. Well, we were looking at artwork sort of being the final stage of still being in creation with it all, you know. So the song's done, and you're sitting there thinking about the artwork, and we went through all sorts of things. We sent it out to a few people, and they came back with these very moody things, you know, people with the light shining on them in a dark tunnel and all this sort of stuff. I was like, have you heard the song? Yeah, we did send you the song, right? And also, like, a lot of our contemporary bands out there, they have two artworks. There's only two that they have, and there's variations on a theme. They have one which is the dark alleyway with the light shining down, and it's a girl, and she looks, you know, all made up, but she's very, like, sort of staring into the distance, and, you know, and they got their thing in the corner. It's like, bleh. And then you got the other artwork, which is basically dice, hot rod cars, flames, and we're the best time you'll ever have in the world because we all live in the Hollywood Strip, not Doncaster. We live in the Hollywood Strip, you know. And that doesn't really suit us at all because you never know what you're going to get. You know, when you press up, what would really love for people about us is when they press play, they go, I have no idea what I'm getting into. And that, to me, that's really exciting because that's what I used to love with putting on a record, you know. And so we were going through our own artwork. We were going through the artwork people had made. And none of it felt right. None of it felt right. And Lizzie was bought a duck. A squashy pink duck, and she'd sent a message to the group. She was like, look at this is what I get for my birthday. This is what I got for my birthday. Look at it.
It might just be a thing, getting ducks for birthdays.
That's it. That's what she said. That's what I said. This is amazing. The duck thing, I didn't know it was a thing. I would have bought everyone a duck if I'd have known. So she was like, look at this. And as she did that, I went, that's it. She went, what's it? I was like, that's the artwork. And she was like, no. I said, go on, go up to your wall, film your hand, like squeezing it. I said, that duck is all of us. It's a stress duck, which Sean didn't hear. He called it the sex duck.
Oh God.
So now he's out there saying everyone loves the sex duck. I was like, it's not a sex duck though, is it? It's a stress duck.
Whole different thing.
God, talk about layers in the artwork. You know, he's out there making it look like some sort of BDSM thing. But yeah, so that was what it was. It was to be deliberately obtuse, to be colourful. You know, to jump out.
I mean, if you look at it really deeply, I take what I call depression baths, which I've got like 20 ducks now. So all my little ducks come in and we play in the bubbles.
See, if you'd have given me a hint, I would have said that, because that's a much better story. That's a much better story. But no,
I wanted the true story. I'm not gonna.
That is the truth. That is the truth. She was squeezing this duck, and she's tiny. Lizzie is so tiny, so she's little hands made the duck look far bigger than it was. When we saw the duck, it was like this. She was holding it. It was like a substantial thing. So we saw it, and we were just like, "That's it. That's exactly it." And the amount of WTF messages I got about it, I was like, "This is great. This is great."
I'm glad I'm not the only one that went WTF then.
No, exactly. And we were just like, "Yeah, this is working. This is what we like to see."
Question is, are we going to get a merch duck now?
You are going to get a merch duck. We looked into getting some printed up specially as a thank you for fine people like yourself who, take the time to give us a platform like this. And we will be sending you a stress duck. And don't let Sean tell you it's a sex duck.
I mean, I just want to say out to anyone listening this: do not Google sex duck.
Do not Google sex duck ever.
No,
because you'll either get Sean at best or a lot of worst.
I'm going to go a lot worse. I don't even want to. Yeah,
be terrible. Sex duck.
But why did the duck not feature in the music video?
Well, the music video was already made. The music video was already made. I know. I got into this annoying habit of telling Sean that when he was recording his bass parts and his vocal parts, I wanted to film him while he was doing it. He was like, "Oh, great. So no pressure then." I was like, "Yeah. So not only do you have to sound good on the record, you also have to look good for a video." Because we're doing this like waterfall release thing. And I read about it, and it does make a lot of sense. It means you do one every 6 weeks off the album. So you are in constant PR mode, pushing things out, and you've always got something to talk about, always got something to build up. You throw gigs in the middle, it's exciting. Your feed becomes worth looking at.
It's the only way to do it via social media now, isn't it?
Oh yeah, if you chuck out an album, it's gone. I mean, the Foo Fighters released an album. I listened to it once all the way through and went, "Yeah, that's great." I didn't listen to it again, and that's them.
Yeah.
And so you think about this small window of attention you can get from people, even the people who really like you. So I think constantly engaging them over and over again is the way to go. But we have some quite rabid fans now, which is amazing, to have these people who, we did a promo campaign of Play or the Duck Gets It. And one of our fans, Brian, sent me a message saying, release the whole album or you're going to get it. I was like, okay, right. Yeah, I'm on it. So we're going to put it out on physical release.
Good.
So streaming it will come every 6 weeks. But yeah, it's good to be in demand.
When you say physical release, what are you talking?
Well, we have a full CD, a digipack release planned, but we've also got a cassette planned.
Ooh. Yeah, because they're coming back in a big way.
They are. I love them. I've got a huge collection of cassettes and tape players and all sorts of things. That was my medium,
What about one of these bad boys?
Oh, they're gorgeous. That's what we want to do. But I'll tell you a quick story. I promise you a quick story, not a dev story, a quick story. We did a run of Volume 3 that sold out really quick of vinyl, and we were really lucky that we got it quickly. It was delivered, and we released it to these people. We put the same order in a week later, and we were looking at a 9-month delay. But you had to pay up front to get it. We were like, no. no, we can't do that. Ain't gonna happen. I'm a self-employed musician and producer. There is no magic money tree apparently, so I don't have one either. So we were like, we'll see. And then I look at some of the more established artists who independent, and some of their fans have been waiting nearly 2.5 years for something they ordered that was nearly 200 quid.
That's ridiculous.
Imagine 2.5 years. I mean, yeah, they've got the songs.
Yeah.
They've got that. But that's a bit expensive for an album, isn't it? And it's a double album, and it's a collector's thing, and I totally get that. But I just think that builds really bad trust with your audience, you know. And vinyl's had such a resurgence that the demand on it is huge.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of the problems have come with. They didn't realise it was going to take off in such a way it did, to the point where independent artists want them.
Yeah, that's it. Because it's the best moneymaker you've got, more than T-shirts.
Well, exactly. And physical is obviously, we all know, physical, like music and band T-shirts and whatever kind of merch you can throw out there is the money making in this industry now.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you don't earn anything from streaming.
No. I think our revenue check this year, it did hit 3 figures, which is like, that's not bad for an independent band. You know, it hit 3 figures and we were like, okay, straight back into everything else. You know, it just goes into the ongoing cost. But, you know, think of these people who are hitting like 3 billion views and they're getting like a 30 grand check. It's like, that's not a lot, is it?
No,
really?
It's not. It's not, considering what the actual streaming services make themselves.
Oh, they make a fortune.
Like, everyone pays so much per, like, it's 12 quid a month for Spotify or something stupid like that. And that's on the minimum one. So, like, you're getting all that money, but you're not giving it out to your artists. What the hell?
I mean, the guys running Spotify are incredibly shrewd because there's a company called DistroKid, and you pay a subscription a year and you can release as much music as you want. Cool. Talk about a level playing field for artists. Wrong. It's owned by Spotify.
Yep.
So if you pay an annual fee for Spotify, and as an artist, you also pay an annual fee to put music on there. And as long as that music doesn't do well, you're okay. But if it starts doing well, then they try to take it off. Guess what that song was released through?
Yeah.
So I had the distribution company saying, it's not us, it's Spotify. And Spotify saying, it's not us, it's the distribution company. And you have me saying, you're both the same company. You know, so we've moved now. We've moved to a completely different distribution service, a much more independent one. And it's so much better. But I see bands out there inflating their numbers, but their crowds aren't getting any bigger. And I think that's a dangerous thing to start getting involved in as well. You know,
yeah, that's the other side of it, isn't it? People will listen on Spotify and stuff like that. 'Cause I only use that one because it's the biggest one.
Yeah,
but they won't go out and see the bands.
No, they won't.
Which means the venues are closing down, which means the bands can't tour, and it's a sort of vicious circle.
No. Oh, do you remember when Spotify first, or when Facebook became the big thing, just after MySpace was tailing off? Facebook was a big thing for bands. And people would book tours based upon their huge Facebook follower numbers. And then they would be playing these empty venues, and promoters would be putting up posts being like, you know, don't book a tour if you haven't got any sort of reach with fans. That's still happening today. There's
That's why I like, I don't know if you've heard of it, but like Breaking Bands Festival and Rebellion Festival that's just happened in Blackpool.
Rebellion's awesome, yeah.
Those lower level festivals are great.
Oh, they're amazing.
Because you go, because it's the festival environment, but you get to see all these different bands. Which means
the great thing about Rebellion is that punk is such a big genre. So many different sides to it. There's going to be something for everyone there. You know, and something really good as well.
Which makes people want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And community. Community is what's missing from all of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when I was younger, if you had the same band T-shirt as someone, even in the same city you lived in, you had to be friends. Whether you wanted to or not, didn't matter. You were mates now. You know.
Yeah, well,
I live on
a small island, and it's basically that way.
Yeah.
You see someone wearing a metal T-shirt. It's not necessarily the same band, but you'll see someone wearing a metal T-shirt, and they'll see you wearing one, and you're like, yes.
You know, it's almost like a resigned rolling of your eyes, like, come on then, over you come.
Yeah.
You know, we're friends now. And that's I think that's what's missing. I mean, we were looking into PR for the band, right? Because it's incredibly difficult for us because I'm an incredibly difficult musician. You know, if we
No,
were just,
really?
oh wait, if we were just no, you're right. If we were like, I don't know, if you're a punk band and you play shouty oi punk songs, or you're a ska band, you know, there aren't many metal ska bands around. I'm sure they do exist, but there aren't many. You know, it's very easy to, when you release your song, you put it as ska, and there's a very select fan base that it can be marketed to. Boom, easy. If you're a death metal band, no matter what subgenre of metal you are, there is a subgenre for you. But if you fall into this bit of hard rock that has, you're dipping your toe in all these different genres, you got to pick one and go for it as your main one. And when you're trying to find bands to align with, you know that because you're a bit in their genre, their fan base is going to be confused.
Yeah.
So you start getting difficult to book and all these sorts of things. It's almost like you're punished for branching out in a way. Now, of course, if you can get that over to people, brilliant. You're in the best position ever. Getting it over is a very difficult thing.
That's kind of what I miss. Like when I used to go CD shopping or like record shopping when I was younger, you'd go into the store and you'd got your rock music there, and that included everything. It was your rock. If it wasn't pop or jazz or blues, it went in rock. That's your punk, your metal, all of it.
Yeah,
Made it so much easier. But now, obviously, with the streaming services, you have to narrow it down so much. Everyone seems to be putting themselves into the smaller and smaller boxes.
Exactly that.
It's like you're allowed to listen to everything you like.
Yeah, this is it. This is how I've always been. You know, just because you like something doesn't mean you dislike everything else.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing we struggled with the most is that, you know, it's kind of like it's not metal enough. It's not meant to be metal.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, because unfortunately where my age put me was in the sort of mid 90s, was when I was getting most influenced by what was happening around me. And you had bands like The Almighty, The Wild Hearts, Faith No More ruled the planet. You know, you even had Red Hot Chili Peppers, who were like a bit more confusing. Grunge was a very open-ended genre, you know. Even indie music, you know, like for their part, Oasis and Blur and stuff, they still had guitars in them very prominently. So everyone was experimenting a little bit in these different areas. So to me, it just made sense that every band would do that.
Yeah.
And obviously, as you say, as we've got on to now, everything's pigeonholed.
Yeah, and if you don't fit that pigeonhole completely, you're kind of like shunned, and it's like,
you're not allowed to play. You're not allowed to play. There's
if you put my playlist on shuffle, one of my friends said it once. He called my music taste whiplash.
Like that.
Because one moment we'll be listening to like I don't know, Motley Crue, then it will jump to Slipknot, and then it's Rob Zombie, and then it's a bit of Beethoven, and then you've got McFly, and
I mean, you're on a winner of all of those so far, you know.
And it just jumps all over the place because I was raised to listen to it, then make judgment call.
Yeah, of course. That's what I always said. There's two types of music, good and bad. You get to be the judge of which side it lands. Genre just gives you an idea of what it may sound like. Doesn't tell you whether it's in the good or bad pile.
No, exactly. It tells you, like, this one's a bit heavier than this one. So
yeah, exactly. If you're getting down to have some intimate, relaxing moments, this will give you an idea that it maybe is not the right time.
Yeah. Well, this one's only got 3 or 4 words, so it's probably a pop song.
Exactly that. Exactly that. You're going for a run. You probably don't want this ambient industrial music playing, which is basically one guy and a horn.
No, you want someone like Scooter.
Exactly. You do. And this is the thing. I've been listening to lots of Dutch gabber of all things recently. Absolutely just the kick drum going, fall to the floor, and just loads of people shouting stupid stuff in a language I don't understand, and I love it. And it's just making me happy.
Well, that happened at the Olympics, didn't it? You had Gojira.
Oh my God, that was so cool.
And so many people were kicking off. Like,
I don't understand.
It's a representation of the French culture. Metal is huge out there.
And it was awesome.
It was, wasn't it? Oh.
It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was so cool. I was watching it. I was like, I'm so jealous.
It was almost that how they performed for the Olympics was almost up there with Eddie Munson in Stranger Things.
Yes, exactly that. It's absolutely on a parallel. I think.
Yeah.
I think when the beheaded Marie Antoinette came past and they started singing, the drummer looked like he was trying to kill that drum kit.
Yeah.
I actually felt sorry for the drum kit. You know,
I felt sorry for the ledge. Christ, if they fell.
Yeah, I actually did notice they were ratchet strapped in.
Yeah.
Safety harness at the back, because there was no way he wasn't going to be throwing shapes on that guitar. It was just so cool. And then you get people going, "No, it's it's Satanist."
Ugh.
And I was like, even if it was, it's cool. You've got to admit it's cool.
You've always had that with rock music. It's always the devil's music.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, but you listen to your song, like the Depression Sessions, and it's like, okay, this is Satan music, and then you got a pink fucking rubber duck.
A sex duck, I'll have you know.
Satan music, sure.
yeah, we're not having a good time. We're having this great time over here on the rock scene, you know. And I think it's funny you should say that about the whole Satan thing on rock, because our contemporaries, because I think at some point you do have to start thinking of yourself like that. You have to think of other bands that are out there as just your peers, basically, whether they're bigger or smaller. You're all in the game. And I see the ones that are having the most success at the moment, and they all have the same formula. And I've seen it because I've worked in the music industry at all different levels, especially behind the microphone and off behind the stage as well. And they all have the same formula. It's very American. It's packaged in exactly the same way. Image is incredibly important. And they're all selling it to people in exactly the same way, and it's fascinating to look at. I'm not capable of doing it because I'm not a marketing genius. I'm your everyday genius. And
all
you
right,
thought the wanker moment was out of the way. No, I thought I'd get one on camera as well. No, I'm only kidding. No, but it's been packaged in the same way, and we found ourselves victim of it. So when I spoke about that little bit of success we were having, there's, in the grand schemes of music, this is minuscule success, but to us it's huge because it's growing and people are actually really coming on board with it. So we reached out and looked to some of these growing communities of people, because to me, community is everything.
Yeah.
Going back to what we were saying earlier, it's like if you can get that thing people can be a part of, then they're really invested. The music's only a part of it, So we reached out to a few of these forums and, joined them and went to share our posts, and they were deleted.
Okay.
Deleted by the runners of it.
What did you do wrong?
I said, I didn't do it, so we know it can't have been that bad. And so Lizzie have made these posts, and they were really innocuous. They're just simple things about, we got a single coming out. If anyone's interested in these kinds of bands, you might like it or not. Really enjoying being part of the group. Deleted. And yet you see lots of bands posted in there, even with low sort of engagement figures. They've still posted in there. So we did a bit of digging, because you got to do this stuff to work out. And we realised it is just a marketing group packaged as a community group.
Oh, God's sake.
Yeah, it's something to do with classic rock, like the new classic rock. Right. And funnily enough, the people running it were the managers of the same bands that I was talking about earlier that are sort of blowing up. So it's all been used as a feeding ground to promote them and push them, because, of course, the new bands that have paid to be a part of this platform, they're driving people to this platform, and that they have to focus on their support on the bigger bands. And it's a great racket if you can get into it.
Oh, Christ, talking of that, I had that the other day. A band that I'm interviewing soon, actually, they sent me a message and they asked if I was charging them. And I was just like, what? No?
No. Might want to think about that. No, don't think about that.
No, I listened to your music. I liked it. Yeah, sure. Come on.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's how it should be. This is
I make my money. I make my money for this from a different way, like ads and stuff like that. I'm not going to start charging the bands.
Well, we've had that before. We had someone reach out to us, go through the whole process, set it all up and everything. If we could just make payment, then we'll get it going. We were like, excuse me? Never mentioned to that point, and it was an astronomical amount of money.
Yeah, I just told him, I was like, no, it's free.
So
I'm
cool.
a human being that just happens to love music,
Yeah,
and I just so happen to have a music journalism degree. So
plays into itself, doesn't it? Really.
like,
And
I do this because I love the bands. So
yeah, it's so cool, and I think it's missing from music at the moment. No, there doesn't seem to be a way out for anyone without. There's a song on Disco Mel. It's the opening song. It's called "Pay to Play," and it is a barnstormer of a song. It's fast. It's aggressive. It's straight to the point, and it is very much about promoters, marketers, management, the people we've met. I call them out by name because of course I do want an argument, and I do want to make it personal. That's kind of in my MO.
well, it is personal in a way.
It is.
Like,
They were working against us.
you shouldn't be charging
No.
for this. When did music become just about money?
We applied to a festival. They told us that they couldn't wait to have us playing. 2 days later, they said, sorry, the slot's been taken, after we'd confirmed. We did a bit of digging.
They pay to play it.
Same people who kicked us out of that group, they were involved in that festival.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, it's going on all the time.
Ugh.
So this is the barriers we have to get past, because when you're starting out, you're very dependent on your social circle. Like in your hometown, the more mates you got, the bigger your band looks. It's just that simple, isn't it? Really. That's why bands in their 20s can pack out a 200-seater venue, and yet if they go to the next town along, they can't get 4 people to turn up.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very similar thing out there in the industry now, is that you have these bands who are creating these little communities that they can sell to, and that's great, but they're not reaching out to anything else because they're so desperate to keep hold of what they've got that they're prepared to push everyone else down. And that's not how an industry grows. That's not how a scene or a movement grows. It's, if you look at grunge, one band broke out to world stardom, but a lot of them went with them.
Yeah.
And same thing for like sort of Bring Me the Horizon. They might be the standout stars of metalcore, but a lot of bands came along with them for the ride. And it's not by pushing Electric Callboy as well. It's amazing. They hit stardom on a massive level, and then very quickly changed their single releases to include bands that they loved from back home, sort of doing collaborations with them and pulling them in, get a bit of limelight on them. That's how things get bigger. That's how we get
exactly, yeah.
things across.
You
Not
shouldn't have to pay for that privilege, though.
No, pay to play really sort of goes in. But I grew up listening to Guns N' Roses. Axl Rose on Get in the Ring, he gave me the blueprint, which is when he called out all the journalists in that one song, and I was like, yeah, because we had a whole section of the song where I did it. We took it out, and we said, yeah, that might be safest. And then as we were finally mastering the album, I said, just want to go back and tickle that song one more time in the mix. And they were like, okay. Came back, they listened to it, they both went, oh, it's in again. It's in again, and it's louder. I was like, yes, I want to make it very clear. So
the only thing is that could work in your benefit. Like, that could get your name out there, because if you're naming them by name, then you're going to have like the all the websites using it as clickbait.
Well, this is the thing. If you upset them enough,
just all that's going to do is push your band name out there more, and then people are going to be like, oh, okay, who's these dickheads? And they're going to.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah. It's called the Elon Musk Guide to Social Media.
Yeah.
Which is realizing that hate is a much more engaging emotion than love. So if you put out content for strangers that's based around good times and smiles and stuff like that, they're not interested. And that's why you see these posts go, are we the new Metallica?
Yeah.
And you'll see they've suddenly got huge comment sections from people saying, fuck you. And it's like, that's engagement.
Well, exactly. And then that engagement gets you into the algorithm. It pushes you up there. And then, yeah, that's
how it's done.
That's how it's done.
You need a strong sense of self-esteem to go through with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Which is why these bands have someone else doing it for them, so they don't have to see the hate. They just see the results of the thing. But yeah, that's how it's done. And so we're really looking forward to getting that out, because it has been a battle. We have got shows booked, and
Where are they for?
well, we got one on the 24th of this month at MoFest.
Okay, yeah.
It's gonna be really, really cool, because we're on there with the City Kids, who are really good mates of ours, and they're headlining on that day. So we're on in quite a big slot, sort of about 6 p.m. on the Saturday, and we've pulled in Ashley Mortimer and Harry Lord from Indebted, which is the other band that I do, which is the more sort of esoteric metal synth based thing. It's so much fun, it's brilliant, and that's getting ready to launch. And they're coming across to look after sort of drums and bass duties on that. So it's going to be a wild set. It's going to be so good. And I do not think they're ready for it in that room at all. The problem was, we announced it to our fans, to much sort of the speculation that we were going to start doing these sorts of shows. And we said, we're announcing this, we're playing on a Saturday, we can't wait. It's going to be such a great day. Only downside, it's sold out. So you can, say suddenly we go back to that fan who's just like, release the album, get me a ticket, or you're going to get it. So unfortunately, they couldn't make it to this one.
Have you got any of your own dates coming up? Like when you release the album, will you do a coinciding tour sort of thing with it?
I think so. What we're doing is, I think it's about around October time, we're going to do the physical release. And we're thinking of tying together sort of 4 or 5 just key dates. So keep them simple. And then we got one with City Kids in Bradford. So we got to look at spacing them out. So we want to sort of get sort of 2 in the north, maybe up to Edinburgh as well, and then come down and sort of do West Country, because they get overlooked a lot of the time.
What about Southeast?
Southeast, absolutely. You got to come down there. I might have to hit you up for where's good around there, because I can't remember the last time I was down that way.
There's an amazing venue in Canterbury called the Lady Luck. It's like a proper classic little rock bar, like a proper little dive bar. It's amazing.
That sounds perfect.
They always have bands and stuff in there.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And it's in Canterbury.
Yeah.
That's even cooler, isn't it?
Which means it's a student city as well. So even if people don't know you, they tend to just come along because it's the only rock bar in the area.
It's a night out.
Yeah.
And it's a rock bar. I'll tell you one thing, it is always a surprisingly good time to come and watch us, because we perhaps have the impression that we're quite intense, because there has been those moments over the past. I will admit that in some of the releases and stuff, because I was using it as like therapy to deal with things. But that volume 1, 2, 3 thing, that's closed now. Like that part of my life, and now we're moving on to just finding other things to think about rather than just me now. Because now there's more people involved, there's more members and things like that. We're sort of looking outwards rather than inwards. And we're surprisingly a good fun bunch of people. Like, we have a really good time, and so that translates to the stage. And I think people are probably not ready for that, like how high energy it is and how based around just having a really good time it is, because I think that's missing, and also it's really needed right now.
Well, that's what people want when they go out.
Yeah, they do. It's not about us.
I don't want to go out and sit there like.
No.
I want to go out and forget about my life for a bit.
Yeah, escapism. It's like going back to where we started, that 80s synth thing. I go back to my happy place. People want new things if they're.
Sorry. Thank you.
It happens. I think people only want new things if they are told that they should like it. They don't want it by default. They want more of what they already like. You have to find a way to be in the middle of that, And I think the way to do that is by, in our live show, constructing a set that's not about us. It's about where we're playing in the room, and making sure it's the best night out you could possibly have, and that is our job.
Yeah, just definitely look at coming down to Canterbury then.
I'd love it. You said it was Lady Luck.
Yeah, it's basically Kent's answer to the 100 Club.
Oh, see, even better, because that's the size venues we want.
Yeah.
You know, we're
So
probably a
it's
bit.
small venue. Everyone just people will randomly just turn up because they're looking for a good night, and that's the bar. That's the type of sound of music they like, so they turn up there, and then
That's
you
the
end
sort of
up
venues,
getting new fans and stuff. So
because it's about, I've said this before. I think the last time we chatted, for me, it's about connections. Because for so much of my life when I was younger, I didn't feel like I really knew anyone like myself. You don't expect people to be doppelgangers, but to at least be in the same ballpark. You know, and it was only when I started being really honest with music that I started finding people like that I could relate to. And as
yeah,
it's grown, we're finding more of them. So now I want to actually get out there and make sure, I'm finding them in the most effective way. And I think that's what gigs are, because gigs are work.
yeah,
Gigs are
of
work.
course.
Making albums is the funnest thing you can do with your clothes on. It really is so much fun.
You
It's
don't.
not
I
work.
mean, if you're recording an album, you don't have to wear clothes. Just
You
put
don't
them on.
have to. Disclaimer: you don't have to wear clothes, especially not if I'm making the album with you.
And
Because
especially
I'm
if the
just
aircon in the studio is broken.
come on down to the studio, bring your duck. Let's do this thing. Let's make an album. And it's like, and when they are work and they are hassle, and you have to get there. Like for this one, I've got to go down to Devon to rehearse with the band. And then we're going to convoy up to Cambridge in the morning to do MoFest, and it's a lot of logistics to put it together, because we're not four mates who grew up on the same estate. We're professional musicians who, sort of come together to do something really brilliant for an hour, and it's a proper long set we're doing as well, so hence the exercise bike that's just out of camera.
Will you be
View.
playing any of the new tracks?
We will. I think we're doing one from the first album. There's at least one of every release up to this date. It's primarily the new album, and the reason for that is it was designed to be played live
Yeah,
from start to finish. Some of the more esoteric, older stuff was designed to be an album song, Whereas this album, it was designed to like roll a dice between 1 and 12, and we can go on that song. And it definitely shows in rehearsals, because we were doing some of the older ones, and they were like, "Fuck this, like, we ain't playing this one." And I was like, "All right, fine," double kick. Like they were like, "No, we ain't doing that." So yeah, it's gonna be really good. We got a new single on the 20th, I think, of this month as well.
Oh, 20th of August.
Yeah, we'll get that one across to you. It's that one's really fun. It's called Common Sense Revolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we having a different coloured duck for that one?
It's a blue duck. It's a red duck. We might have two ducks going at it.
Ooh.
All the squeezing of ducks. I think that one we've got this incredible sort of artwork, this photograph taken during the miners' strikes and stuff like that. It's it's a very different song, surprisingly, with us, but it's how can I put it? If Danko Jones did a song with Pendulum,
Okay.
at an AC/DC concert, this is what it would sound like.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Starting to see the disco metal side there.
Yeah, it's got this huge break in the middle that really takes it somewhere, but then it sort of brings it all full fair. Be really interested to hear what you think about it when you hear it, because it's we're trying to push the boat, always trying to push the boat out, because it's very easy to bang out one after the other of the same songs, and
Oh, that's just boring.
it is so boring. It is so boring, and I can't. The music of the day in the rock scene. I won't say any names of these bands, but there's two of them that people seem to think are getting really big, but outside of their little niche, they're not.
Yeah.
And they're being hampered by their songs, basically.
That's because you don't want to listen to an album and be like, what track am I listening to?
Exactly
And the freaking same.
Or you listen to lyrics and you can't tell what it's about
Yeah.
at all. And people go, "Oh, the live show's great." It's like, yeah, well, that's what happens when you press play on a laptop, isn't it? The record sounds great, and so do they, surprisingly. So, and it's very Nickelback heavy. I don't want to slag off Nickelback because they're doing their own thing, but there's this Rick Beato interview with a music specialist in America, and he said that ever since Nickelback, rock radio in America has the Nickelback test. It's like, how many elements with this song, with this Nickelback song, does it have? And if it has it, it makes it to the radio list. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so it's done on a formula, and that formula exists here today, and it's crazy. It's mad. Everything's
Yeah,
so...
I've worked on a radio station. You do tend to find that if it doesn't fit the circulation of songs, it ain't getting played.
It's so gentrified. It's crazy, you know. And I see that those bands that are having this, you know, this success, and fair play to them and good luck to them. But they also, I can hear that they're hitting those beats, and I'm like, oh yeah. But way to play the game. I'll get you. I'll be over here with my duck, you know, being weird, because that's what I do.
I love the duck thing. I can't get over it.
Well, but we'll make sure we get one to you. I think there's talks of a T-shirt as well, because a few people want one. So maybe there'll be a tour shirt.
Hey.
Hey.
As you can see,
sex duck.
Love the band twos.
Yeah, you know it.
Oh well, I mean, I love cutting them up and individualizing them, but yeah.
Oh, you go. Yeah, I've got this like Bloodborne You Died T-shirt on. The neck had to go. Had to go. Looked like I was wearing a Victorian polo shirt or something. It was just like made by sadist.
I tend to find it's because a lot of bands release, and I get why. Obviously, they do the print of the T-shirt and they release it on just a T-shirt, and it's normally a unisex T-shirt, right? Because that's easier. Because then you just got one T-shirt rather than having the unisex and the women's fit. Because whatever. So they're very boxy.
Yeah, they're not very flattering, are they?
No. So I like to then. It's actually my personal YouTube channel, so not the podcast one. They're the videos that get the most likes, actually, showing people how to customize band tees. So,
and that's a good little niche.
Yeah, it's also how I promote like smaller bands as well, like this one.
I took the hint. There'll be one on its way. There's one on its way now. I've got a duck working on it.
Hey, that's animal labour.
Yeah, well, the duck wants to work.
You better be paying that duck fair wages.
Yeah, absolutely. He gets a fair quack out of it.
Kate.
Christ. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you got
a bad day to stop drinking. But yeah,
just to clarify, the new single's out this month.
It is on the 20th.
With the album following about October-y time, yeah.
Should be. There'll be another single sort of middle of September as well. Yeah, we just keep rolling from here. We're actually halfway through the new album tracking at the moment as well. So doesn't look like we're going away anytime soon.
Does the new album track in like the order of them, like kind of flowed like in a story, or is it just gone, that one works there?
Oh, well, so disco metal.
Yeah.
100%. Interestingly, as a bit of a meta thing, each album ends with a song that indicates what the next one's going to be like. And the way disco metal ends, it ends on a song that's a bit more serious. Like it could be from the Holy Bible by Manic Street Preachers. It's lyrically visceral. And it was to do with Lizzie, who'd had some sort of trauma with an operation she'd had and everything. So it's kind of about body horror and sort of, you know, gender dysmorphia and all these horrific things. And I mean that's dealt with delicately. That's one of the few things that isn't. It's not a fun song. It's got fun hooks to it if you're not listening to it intensely, but if you want to dig into the song, it's all in there, and it sort of links to the new direction that we'll be taking after that. So while our album takes you on a wild sort of energy rocket fueled disco ride through modern mental health issues and societal problems, it ends on a more somber note and sort of leads into where we're going with the next one, which is it's a touch more. This will probably be the known as our fun record. The next record will be known as when we really sort of zero in laser like on a few things. So it's quite cool. But disco metal, my god, that's a fun record. There's some very fun moments on there. And I expect people to chuckle out loud if they're listening to it for the first time on a train. Be prepared to be stared at, because there's some pretty cool moments on there that'll make you just go, "What?"
Note to self: listen to it at home.
Listen to it at home or somewhere you're around people who know what you like.
Yeah.
Because it's
Don't film a first time review.
there's some great moments on there that are deliberately designed to, as Sean puts it, Sean's massively into wrestling, and so he's always using wrestling terminology when he's explaining the songs, and we're chatting about work, and he's like, we need more pops in there like this one, because that one popped him on the train. He's laughed out loud, and a few people we sort of confided and shared the songs with have all popped at the same bits, so we know they work.
Yeah.
We know they work without highlighting them to people. And I love records that do that. I love records where you have the incidental noise of them walking into the studio, or, you hear the drummer put his sticks down at the end and stuff like that. I love that, because this is a very organic record. I've been traveling up north when we recorded it. So it's the first one that wasn't just me in a room sort of making it.
I think you need that rawness, don't you?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah.
Hearing the slight, like, if they've forgotten to take out like the click track or something, like you can just hear it slightly. It's just
those little things where you hear the producer just say, "Oh, just shut up and play it."
Yeah,
right down underneath it, and you're like, "Oh, I love that," because it feels like you've got an insight into what was happening.
Yeah, it feels like you're sort of in the room with them.
It does, and I think it's valuable. It stops a record being sterile. And that's what the thing is. Modern production in rock and metal has made things all sound really big and cool, and more people have access to a good sounding record, and I'm all for that, But they're sterile.
Yeah, you want to go back and be like, did I really hear that?
Yeah, exactly. Do you know in Hey Jude, there's a bit in the released single of Hey Jude, the one that they mime to on Top of the Pops as well.
Well, that's Top of the Pops all over. They always mime, yeah.
John Lennon drops an F-bomb and no one ever hears it. And when someone pointed that out to me, I was like, you are talking nonsense.
So you have to go back and listen to it, don't you?
We did. Put on headphones, turned it up, and it was the start of a harmony. He sings the wrong one and he says, "Oh, fuck it." And I'm like, and they left that in. That's so cool. So cool. And there's a lot of that on this record as well. Lots of unexpected moments. Piano solos, all sorts of things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Why
not? Well, we pulled in someone to do some sort of like honky tonk barroom stuff, because we had like this more like sort of Tyler moment on the record as well, which is because I love Tyler to bits. I love the idea of a sort of road weary, life worn, red wine drinking, troubadour telling me his woes. That's my idea of a good time.
Oh, and God, I feel the country album coming on already.
No, I don't think we're quite there yet. I've still got another 15 years of loud, obnoxious music in me before the country record's coming. Hopefully. Who knows? By the next one, I say the next record's this like whole thing coming out. It could be, could be anything at this stage. But I know that we've got about 7 songs done for the next one afterwards. But I was toying with the idea of putting a B-side with every single. As well. So we're recording them at the moment. So each song that comes out has an extra song with it as well. Because while we do want a waterfall release, we are sort of getting a bit of a backlog going now. So we want to get as many out as we can. So
also, if this one's really fun to do live, you should do like a live release.
Well, we were thinking of that. Because the hardest thing to do at a small venue is actually the capturing of each individual instrument. Because you got to mix it. Because what sounds good in the room from the board sounds terrible to listen to without it. So, because a live mix is very different to a studio mix. So it's very expensive to actually isolate each of those tracks and capture it in real time. So once you find the right venue where you can do that, we were thinking of doing it. And I think me and Sean and Ash were going to go into a studio in, is it Rochdale or something like that? I can't remember. I get very confused when it comes up north. I assume they're just making names up of these places, like where they're coming from. There was a place. I was on the train up north, and they saw and it stopped, and they were waiting to pick me up. And they were like, "Where are you stopped by?" And I looked at the train, and it looked like it said Mithrandir to me, but the place was called Mythenroyd.
Okay.
I was like, not sure. Begins with M, ends in D, very long. And they were just like, oh, Mythenroyd. I was like, are we in Wales? No, we're not.
No,
But,
there's not enough L's in it for Wales.
yeah, exactly. So we got, I think we're booking a studio up there, and we were thinking of recording like the album start to finish live and videoing it, and creating like a sort of behind the scenes, because it is so much fun to play. We want to get as many shows as we can to play all the songs, because not every song's contextually right for each show, you know.
Yeah.
If you like MoFest, it's all high impact, good fun, wake you up music, you know. And I think when it's your crowd, like the one in Bradford will be, we can move out of that a little bit. We can pace the set better, um, because you got to keep interest at a high when you don't know the room, when you don't know when they don't know you. I think too many people fall into that sort of trap of being like, oh, these are our new ones, we want to play all of them, you know, because they're bored to death of their old ones. We've got like 120 released songs. We can pick the best ones, you know, rather than, you know, just.
I mean, if you're doing like that festival type of environment, you do have to just pick your ones that are going to make people want to learn more.
100%. You know, the ones that are going to bring them in, they go, I like that, or that doesn't sound like everyone else, and oh, that one had me throwing my table around. I do hope there's a bit of a bar fight in there. That would be great. That would be great. Like a proper Wild West one, you know? Chairs and whips and stuff.
Let me just write that down. If I ever see you live, throw a chair at you.
Throw a chair at Dev. We'll buy a drink and be very happy afterwards. No, I loved all that stuff. I mean, I remember used to go to punk gigs when I was younger, and people used to trash the place. Now, I wasn't such a fan of that, because that's not fair on the people that work there. But as a concept, it was cool, especially as a punter. It was
having worked at a music venue. People started throwing stuff. Even if a band spilt a beer on the stage, I would be pissed.
It's just annoying, isn't it? It is annoying. I remember I was working on a sound crew, and the lead singer took his mic and then he dropped it. It was my mic. I was the sound guy, and I bought that mic in because the one they had was crap. He dropped it. That's my money.
Yeah, well, that's why I nicknamed it Gig Gunk, because like the stuff when you're winding up the wires at the end of the show, if they've used your wires and stuff, like your leads, it's just black. And you just know you don't even want to know what it is, but it's normally a mix of beer, water, sweat. You're like,
when you're pulling a multi-core from front of house from the stage at a festival.
Oh,
on night 5, you're pulling that through, and the local crew are just looking at you, wishing, you know, wanting to cry, and you're like, I have no idea what's on this.
No, exactly, and you just end up covered in it. You're like,
Yeah, see, I'm not a clean freak, but I am sensible, and I know that that's bad times.
Yes, that's why I only use my own leads.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I do. You know, it's like that whole thing. How do you make a stage show really intense without just being a bit of a prick to everyone that works there, you know? So because we've been around the block, I've been in other bands, I've been on both sides of the thing, we're very conscious of that. So we're actually we're getting a bit of a reputation as a fun band to work with. And
see, that's kind of because I've been both sides of it. It's like, right, this is the limit.
Yeah, there is a limit. There is a limit to it, you know. Don't
bubble gun, fine, because that's basically cleaning the place as you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Put your foot on the monitor if you want to look cool. That's okay. Don't jump on it, because the you know, it's not yours.
Yeah, if it's yours, go crazy.
Go crazy. Smash
if it's not yours, be respectful.
Exactly that. And I think we're getting a good reputation. I've been collaborating a lot on sort of City Kids songs and doing songs with Indebted as well, and it's been great just working with loads more people, and we are starting to meet bands that we really get on with, and there are some awesome bands out there on the scene. Because I know it sounds like I'm being negative about them all. It's not true. I'm not in that position where I want to push others down to get ahead, because
but when you find ones that you get along with and it's similar sounding sort of stuff, there's a tour.
Yeah, exactly.
Because suddenly all the price isn't just on you. You're all grouped together. You get their fans, they get your fans.
No, exactly that. And
you can all go out. I see a lot of bands that are doing that, like Midnight City, or like tend to tour a lot with like Star Circus and stuff like that, because they're friends and they're in the same kind of scene.
Exactly that. You know, when you find these people and you connect with them, and the audience seems to be having a good time for both of you, that's obviously also a massive thing as well. We used to have some really heavy bands that liked us in the last band I was in, and we weren't really that heavy, but they loved us, and it was just like, yeah, but that doesn't work for the night. And they're like, no, you got to play. I was like, it won't work. And they're like, no, you got to play. We love you. We played. It didn't work. Obviously, it turned into a stand-up gig for me, telling jokes for the night, which that was a bit better, fortunately.
I tend to find that if you're going to do that, it depends when you're on. Yeah. Like if the gig starts with the not so heavy stuff and then builds up with the bands getting heavier and heavier, then the audience is more receptive to it.
I think so as well. And also, they always turn it up for the headliner.
Of course.
You know, because I went to see Electric Callboy, and the band that opened for them were just insanely heavy.
Unless, of course, the main band have pissed off the sound tech, then the monitors will still be playing your music, but the ones that face the audience,
It's amazing how bad the sound will get when you've made their day bad, right? You know, can I get more on my monitors? Mate, they ain't even on.
Yeah.
You know.
No, see, I was the other way around. I'd let the monitors be on, but what the audience could hear, no, you weren't on.
I remember on the mixing desk, I used to have the DFA faders, you know, the do fuck all faders. And so when someone come over and went, oh, can you turn the guitars up? It's like, yeah, they're on that one. Turn it up. And they'll turn it up and they go, yeah, that's it. Cheers, mate. And you're no worries. You know, every time that worked.
It's a lesson there. Don't piss off the sound tech.
Oh, man. Do you know our setup time? Because we've all been doing it so long in other bands. So, because even though that, you know, like live, we're still in our infancy as this project. We've all been playing in bands at various levels for so long, and it's got to the point our sound check itself is only a couple of minutes, or as long as the guy needs to get the room sounding good. It's not about us.
Because you know what you're doing.
Yeah, we know what we're doing. If those monitors fail, I can still do it. You know, as long as we can hear each other a bit, which, considering the drummer is about 2 foot behind me, I can hear him. You know, if my amp is next to him, I can hear that. I've never understood this where people go, oh, we couldn't hear what we were doing, so that's why we were crap at Glastonbury. It's like, Well,
I worked in a 150 cap venue, and you had some bands were coming in, and you're like, right, barely anyone knows you. We're on a small island, 150 cap, and you've got in-ear monitors?
Yeah, exactly that.
Fuck off.
Yeah, exactly that, yeah. It's all right if your drummer's on them, and he's saying he's got a
drummer, different thing altogether. I get that. But it was the front man. I was like, look, mate, you don't actually even need sound. You could play an acoustic set and I can still hear you from back here.
God, I'm telling you, like, you've got them nailed. I did this show and we were on tour and we had done 2 months, and every night the guitarist had been happy. And one night he got up, played his solo, and absolutely murdered this solo. It was awful. So first thing he does, as the band all look round at him, he looks round at me on monitors and he's like, turn it up. I was like, oh yeah, turned it up. And the rest of the song carries on. End of the song, he's like, turn it down. Oh, to where it was, yeah. And so just turned it down. So it's like, so you just had to let the crowd know it was my fault that you played it badly. It's like, come on, man. It's a funny industry. It really is.
It is, yeah.
You know,
especially on the lower level, it's hilarious.
Oh God, yeah.
Come on then, come and say
hello.
hello.
Tell when hello.
This is Bowie.
Hello, Bowie.
There you go.
Oh, cute. I've got my little cats here. I have Lieutenant Turd and Satan. They're my 2 cats, and then a dog called Ted.
Aww.
Yeah, Ted's
this
great.
one picked his own name. He trod on the up volume.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Cat's got good taste.
Yeah. It was Please Mr. Gravedigger, so not the best song, but
I think that's a cool song. One of the lesser known ones.
It's better than Laughing Gnome.
Anything is better than Laughing Gnome, except for early Pink Floyd. Do you know what? I can deal with most music, just not early Pink Floyd. I missed that whole stoner period of my life where I needed to listen to it. Now I can't listen to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a time for that. David Bowie's first album was interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And he kept it different.
He did. But
proving that your fans are okay with keeping it different.
Well, this is what we love about it, is that they've just embraced this change because they know it's not about selling out. It's about pushing ourselves. It's about providing them value. So, when they pick up one of our records, it's going to be something fresh. We're not just going to be treading the same ground over and over again, because a lot of the artists I respected so much when I was younger, they now pump out a 10 song album every year because they just need a bit of money. There's no love left in it. There's no art left to it. And
shan't name names, but one of the bigger artists of today's time just keeps releasing her old albums.
Yeah.
Probably know who I'm talking about just by saying that.
Got a good idea.
Yeah.
Got a good idea.
You're conning your fans by doing that, surely.
100%. I mean, I appreciate that in some sense it's a business decision, because everyone who buys those albums, she now gets all the money. Whereas if they buy the old albums, the record company gets the lion's share of it. But that's not really when your tour is pulling in $1 billion.
Yep.
Maybe
write some new songs.
Maybe just go with a new album and don't worry too much about the old one. Give your music away for free at that point.
I mean, yeah, you're making enough money, so
making money. That'd be nice.
Well, yeah, the bigger ones, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just glad we've got 2 sets of a lot of organs, because that's how I can afford all of this. Just get rid of one of them. Stick it on the market. Do what you can.
Yes. Right.
Howie looks massively invested in this conversation.
He's always so nosy.
I don't blame him.
And he likes to try and play my bass.
Bass cat.
Yeah. I'll be playing it, and he's like, nope, that sounds wrong, mama.
We might have a band forming here, Bass Cat and Sex Duck.
See?
Got a song coming to me. Disco Animal. See, this is how conversations with Sean usually go, and before we know it, he's recording 6 songs dressed as a panda. You got
that I would pay to see.
Yeah. Well, you might see stranger things happening out there, because we're going to add more and more shows all the time, because we know that's what's been missing. Basically, it's just logistically pulling us, because touching back to that being all professional musicians, that means we're all earning musicians. I mainly do production work. That's how I survive on a day-to-day basis. But a lot of the guys that work within Punishment Essay, they're working musicians, they're session musicians who play elsewhere, who want to do this. So logistically, they have to be free as well. So
yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Finding the dates where you're all free, and then
and it, me and Sean are the constant, because we're the sort of the creative side of it. But when it actually comes to performing, there may appear to be like a revolving door at times of people who fill in, but it just makes sense. If we've got a one-off show in the Southwest, why not use the guys that are local to that area to fill in for that show, rather than dragging the ones all the way down from Newcastle to come and do a show down there, when it's much easier to tie it in. But when we go for a tour, obviously it will be the same lineup every night, because I think that's how you do a tour. It's how you build consistency. But when you've got these shows littered, sort of spaced out throughout the year, because of course I think you've got to make sure you're promoting these shows properly. And if you oversaturate it, I know some brilliant musicians who work so hard, and they seem to be playing all the time, like that, everywhere. And I'm like, good for you, but it's diminishing returns, and for the effort and the work that they're putting in. Again, it's not a criticism at all, but it's very hard to promote that many shows all the time, because it becomes a blur of, didn't you just do that place, or is this the show you've done, or you're doing,
Yeah, and as someone who obviously, like, as the outsider, not the musician side, from like a fan point of view, I don't want to see that many shows being shoved down my throat.
No, of course not.
If you put out like a nice tour, little tour poster, you can be like, oh yeah, they're playing near me, I can go and see them.
That's how it used to be,
you want as a consumer of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, I'm not a marketing genius, and there's a whole industry now of people saying like how to market your band, and they give you these 5 tips that will work, and it's like none of them work. none of them work. It's all about it's about money.
The only tip I have for band marketing is, as a fan of music yourself, what do you like seeing from your favourite bands?
Exactly that.
Do you want to see tour date after tour date after tour date? No, you don't.
No, you don't. No. You, I think. I mean, what do you want to see from your favorite bands? You
Just
you want to see them.
Yeah, you want to see, like, you want a nice little tour poster. You want, like, right, we're doing this tour. It's coincided with this music. We've put all these singles have been put out already. The outro album's coming along.
This
So
is
we're
us
going
in
to
the
go on tour to
I love
release the
studio
album.
stuff.
Yeah, you're going
Behind
to
the
be able to
scenes.
get this merch.
Yeah, I want to
Here's
see the
some fun
t-shirts in
behind the
advance.
scenes stuff.
Let me buy a duck.
Yeah, let me buy a freaking duck.
Give me a goddamn duck. And I like seeing studio stuff. Like, especially I've got an Aerosmith video that JJ from City Kids sent me. It was amazing watching them make Pump
Yeah,
and seeing that Steven Tyler was actually the driving force. I would have lost money on that. I would have thought it was, the other guys in the band pushing the music, but he was doing everything,
that's
driving
it. You want to see the behind the scenes stuff.
do.
Like,
Yeah.
some people I know show how they do the creative side between doing, like, their merch and stuff, how it translates from paper to what you're actually purchasing, and that's what you want to see. I don't want to see date after date.
No, no. You don't want to just see us saying, thanks for a great night. Had a brilliant time here. This was awesome. It's like, was it though?
Yeah, you say that at every city, so was it?
Was it? Because if it was that awesome, you'd be in a much better mood when I saw you. It's a tricky thing. And again, I don't ever want to run down how anyone else is doing it, because it's a minefield and
Well,
everyone's doing it.
that's the other side with constantly touring as well. It's the audience can tell you're knackered.
Yeah, and you do.
You're not putting on your best show if you're doing it every night.
Christ, it's like
You
anything.
can't do.
It's like looking after kids. It's like having a job. It's like, anything you have to do with routine will always spoil it.
Because you're just going through the motions at that point, aren't you? And no one wants to see that.
No, that's why Alice Cooper got into golf.
Yeah.
Because he can play to 30,000 people at a concert, but that's probably not as fun to him as golf is now.
Yeah.
Because it's not his job. And I think that's a lot of the people who say they were big in the mid-90s, and now social media has allowed them to sell their product directly to the fans they had back then and chat to them a little bit, which is so valuable to them, because people had no access to rock stars back then, or musicians. So now they really love it. There's these 40, 50-year-old people really loving that they got access to the people they cared about when they were younger. But they forget that privilege was put together by a massive team of marketers that were putting them over.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they created this story that they were big, and sometimes they forget that there are other bands out there struggling in this modern age to get a taste of that, and they can be very gatekeepery, shall we say.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
I lost a few heroes in the last 12 months who unfortunately didn't realize they were talking to people I knew, who had earmarked us as particularly as an annoying disturbance to their fan base. And I loved that. I loved that. It was like Christmas for me, because it means we're doing something right. As soon as you start getting, people commenting negatively and stuff like that, it means it's growing.
Oh, of course, yeah. As soon as the haters come along,
it means you're on the way. And on the way to what? I don't know.
Well, it means the algorithm's putting you up there. People that aren't necessarily your fans are finding you. And even if it is just to leave a hate comment because they love it, it means the algorithm's pushed you.
Oh, God, yeah.
Your name's there for these haters to find you and then write it down. And then that just draws the fires, like what you're saying about that. Social media is very much hate-based. People love it.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Like, I mean, the funny thing is, I'm a big, I'm quite a soppy dude, really. If I'm completely honest, as a person, deep down, I quite like just knowing everyone's all right, and I don't really want to upset anyone or anything like that. That's not in my nature. I'm not a horrible person, and most of the people I know aren't either. And I'm sure most of the other people in bands are the same, really. And even people who spew hate online are probably quite decent deep down. But it's very easy to forget that it's real people you're talking to online, isn't it? And some people don't even see their own people who enjoy what they do. They don't see them as people. I mean, there was, another band or contemporaries of ours who kicked out someone from their band over a very personal matter. And he was the only founding member left. It wasn't even anyone else's business, but they were so worried about backlash online that he's gone.
Yeah, see, I was kicked out of a band because I'm not a drinker, and their whole image was about the rock and roll, drinking, and being woo. And because I'm sober, I didn't fit that image. So bye.
How tiring is that? I mean, that is just ridiculous, isn't it? Imagine building your persona around being a drinker. Motorhead, Motley Crue, they've already done it. Get a new gimmick.
Well, that's just it. Like, Nicky Sixx is notoriously sober now. He helped me get so. Tommy Lee's into fucking bonsai trees.
Yeah, Tommy Lee's great, isn't he? He's amazing. What a force of nature Tommy Lee is. He's the only person you've never had to ask, how's he doing? Because you know the answer. He's great. he's doing fine. Yeah, he's brilliant. And I think Nicky's having a great time up there as well now, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, it's good. That's just it. It's good to see. Like, they're sharing that. They're humanising themselves, which is lovely to see.
Yeah, it is. It is.
People need to stop trying to be the rock star.
Oh, God.
Because people don't want to see that anymore. Because, like you said, with social media, you're talking to real people, and that's the thrill. To be able to talk to a musician as a person.
Yeah, exactly that.
Like, you might be on my wall, but I get to know you on a deeper personal level. That's amazing.
It's a very cool thing, isn't it? Yeah. And I think, and I do have an issue with it with bands. When I see them, I see the band photo shoot, and I'm just like, oh, come on, get off it. Like that's just silly. Now I know it's escapism, it's theatre in a way, so there is a line.
But you need to draw. You need to find the middle ground.
This is
what you need to do, like both sides of it. Like, look, this is our promotion. That's where Alice Cooper's got it right. Alice Cooper is a persona.
Yeah, it's a persona, stage persona.
Dolly Parton, that's a persona.
Of course.
They take that mask off afterwards, and they're a person.
Yes, and I think that's often misconstrued. And I think without success, that line between persona and person is never drawn.
Yeah.
Because there's no... Without that confirmation that persona is over with people, they're afraid to turn it off, and that's why they've got to try and live like this thing they've created. But actually, people are weird enough by themselves. Just be you.
Well, that's just it. I don't need a drink to do the dumb shit.
No, hell no.
I learned that the hard way when I first got sober. Turns out that wasn't the alcohol making me do it.
That's a great thing to realise. How good's that? If it's true.
It was just me doing it. I'm just a dumb person having fun. I don't care.
That's the best thing to be. That's the only thing anyone ever needs to be. And I think the same goes for musicians as well. Like, yeah, come on, a bit of escapism's cool. You want to convince people that the world you're living in, the bubble, is amazing and exciting. Come and be like me. The biggest selling point of Motley Crue, when they had that first resurgence around the time of the Dirt, people read the Dirt. Suddenly they gained 5 million fans overnight who they didn't have before. And it was all blokes being like, I like Motley Crue because I'm edgy and dangerous. And also, here's a picture of me with a bottle of Jack Daniels because I'm edgy and dangerous. I listen to Motley Crue. I'm edgy and dangerous. That's a great marketing angle. If you like us, you're also edgy and dangerous. But the great thing is when they go home, they can turn it off.
Yeah, that's just a thing. They've even said it themselves, because I saw an interview with Nicky, and they were like, they weren't doing the dumb shit as a persona. They were just young lads.
Yeah, exactly.
They were young lads with suddenly fame and money thrown at them. What are you going to do?
Yeah. So why are bands acting like that when they don't have fame and money being thrown at them?
Exactly. Motley Crue weren't acting. That was just 4 young lads having the time of their freaking lives.
With too much money.
With too much money.
Yeah. Exactly that. Because if you've got a load of money and success, people will let you get away with an awful lot of stuff.
Exactly. If they were just normal blokes doing it, they wouldn't have got away with it, and people wouldn't be looking up to them for it.
Hell no. And Nikki Sixx's friend list wouldn't be massive.
No,
It'd be full of people who turned their back on him.
they'd all
when
be
he
in
got
prison.
ill.
They would all be in prison.
They would be in prison. And what a shame that would be, because Tommy Lee shouldn't be in prison.
No.
No, he should be outside. That's like putting a dog in prison.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like having an animal caged up, isn't it? Like, no, you got to let that birdie fly. Come on.
He's meant to be outside making everyone just feel good.
Yeah.
Love Tommy Lee. He's great. Where'd you stand on the Mick Mars thing?
Well, obviously, I saw him last year with John. Now, I love John.
He's cool
Anyway,
guy.
because I've seen him with Rob Zombie and stuff. He's an amazing. He's such a down to earth guy and an amazing guitarist.
He's a talent. He really
Bit
is.
gutted that I didn't see Mick,
Yeah.
but as the public, we don't know what happened. We just don't. We don't know what was there. We only see what they're telling us.
And what they want you to see.
And bands replace members all the time. So,
Do you know, a little bit of it is, here's an interesting concept, perhaps. When Pantera broke up, Dimebag and Phil made a deal with each other as friends, because a lot of people thought they'd fallen out. The deal was that they would create a beef that would last for 5 years. And whenever they were sort of talking, they would badmouth the other one. Meaning, if they were in press, so was the other guy.
it's marketing.
It was marketing. And when the fans unfortunately got up and blamed Dimebag, and we had that horrible tragedy happen, that's why Phil was so crushed, because he was like, no, we were still brothers. We just needed a break from Pantera. They needed to do something else for a few years.
Well, that's it. Mick released his solo album. Coincidence that solo album got released while they were beefing?
I can't help but feel like they were like, listen, if you want to take a break, or if you feel like you can't do this anymore, why don't we do this sort of marketing angle where we all get more press?
Exactly. Because everyone was talking about it.
Exactly. Now that's what I am inclined to believe was really going on. Because if you look at what's being said, none of it's particularly nasty.
No, well, that's what I think as well. Right, he's still getting money from the merch sales and stuff, so they've done this on purpose. Come on,
Yeah,
you had an album
everyone's a
to
winner.
release.
Everyone's a winner. No one's losing out of that deal. Everyone's doing well out of it.
Exactly.
So, knowing how good Nikki Sixx is at business, I reckon that's probably more likely.
Probably. I think we've nailed it.
I think we have. What else can we solve today? We can solve it all. So yeah, that's it. Medical conditions, mental health, we fixed it.
We fixed it.
We fixed it.
If you ain't
In
got a
one
mental
chat.
health condition, don't talk about it like you have.
Yeah,
It ain't cool.
that ain't cool. But listen, like I said beforehand, there is a need to talk about mental health difficulties and things like that.
There is a need, but I found, like you said, with people, it being trendy at the moment, people who generally are suffering are not getting the help they need.
No, because people get tired of if everyone is claiming to have these diagnoses and everyone's claiming to have these issues,
Then do any of us actually have any?
Then are we all just suffering with it at this point? Because when they put up these list of things, like you may know a person who has these things, you have this. It's like these things are the most generic, normal personality traits. Like, can't concentrate on tasks. No one can if it's boring.
Yeah. Do you get sad? Everyone gets sad.
On one list, I saw can't concentrate on something. The next condition was hyperfocus on something. So you're saying if I can't concentrate on something, I've got it. But if I can, I've also got it. Wow. That's quite a big catchment area you set there. So I again, if people do need to talk about things, I think it's important to talk, but perhaps
Find the right outlets.
Using it as a badge of honor is the
TikTok
first red.
probably isn't the best place.
No. I understand everyone wants attention these days, and again, I don't even really disapprove of it. I think everyone needs a bit of attention, I think if you're addicted to that attention, I think that's a problem,
Yeah.
It's weird. We live in the first generation where people expect to be famous while having no particular success at anything or skill at anything.
The Kardashian craze. The
It's the
Kardashian
Kardashians.
effect.
Yeah, they're famous for no reason and nothing they've ever done.
Yeah.
And people now have realised that if you can get on Love Island, then you don't have to get a job. And when I was working in education, I knew of people who had been told as career advisors that they weren't studying at school. They were spending their time on planning out how they were going to make themselves a star.
Yeah, you hear it from now kids saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an influencer. I want to be a YouTuber.
Yeah. Which is, again, it's a valid thing in a way.
It's valid. It's basically when we were kids, we'd say we wanted to be rock stars.
Exactly. And
it's the same thing. It's just,
and the parents of the time went to us like, well, how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
Whereas I think it is a valid thing, but we've seen the dawn of YouTube where you think about the bigger stars, PewDiePie and all these guys that do these massive like news reports. They did something. They had a niche, whether it was like taking the news and put it in the format that you could enjoy it, or just being a rock reporter or anything like that. I say just, but like maybe that was their niche. Today, they don't really seem to know what they are. They just want to make the video. They just want the numbers. Yeah,
see, my whole thing growing up, I even said it to my teachers, was I wanted to be a mix between Penny Lane and Lester Bangs.
There you go. And you did it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of debt, and then the magazine industry died out.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
But I feel you, because the music industry has also died out. It's in its dying throes, and AI is a problem.
Yes, you're not the only one who said that. Every band I've interviewed recently, AI is an issue.
Yeah, especially to bands that can't organically do it, because that is going to be the selling point. People are going to want to see it, and they're going to want to hear it be real. So singers are going to have to start getting really good again.
Yeah.
Because there won't be any hiding, because there will come a time where people will be listening for it.
Well, of course.
They don't right now, but we've spent so long tuning people's voices to sound like a computer that AI can emulate it really easily.
Yeah, and that's why Aerosmith was split, because he can't sing as well as he used to. He's never going to get it back. So as a business deal, they made the decision like, look, we can't give you the products you love.
It's ever such a sad day, though, isn't it?
I did have a little tear.
Yeah, what a cool band. What a cool band. And he is such an iconic vocalist.
Which I understand it from a business side of view. I get it. Their product is done.
Yeah, it's finished now. I think they might do the odd show here and there in a controlled... Because they haven't said that they've hung up their boots.
No, they're stopped from the touring.
So I think if he had enough prep time, and it was like, say they did like the halftime show at the NBA or NFL at the Super Bowl, they could do that, because it would be short and targeted. They could still do things. Maybe they could do an unplugged. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I don't think so.
Why don't MTV bring that back as well? That was cool.
Why don't MTV just bring back music programs?
Can you imagine music television playing music?
I know.
Can you imagine telling a kid that these days? They'd be like, what? Why would they do that?
Ringing up on the phone, costing you like £5 a minute just to have your music video you've requested play 4 hours later.
When you were asleep or you'd gone out, Yeah. Jesus.
Well, heaven forbid, waiting by the radio with your cassette ready to press record and play at the same time.
You know what? There was a gratification in that, though, wasn't there?
There was.
It engaged you with it more, and like having a videotape, taping Headbangers Ball and going through it, religiously, finding the bits you want to keep, tape it to another tape player that your mate's got so you can keep the ones you wanted. It was effort.
Yeah.
But it was worth it.
Which is why giving someone a mixtape was such a labour of love.
I still do them.
Oh,
I still do them, and
I
send them out to people, and that's why we wanted to do the album on cassette. Even if that's not the one you're listening to, that's the thing to collect.
Yes,
that's the thing with value for me, But even CDs have become a rarity these days. So,
Yeah, cassettes and vinyl have kind of come back and gone, fuck you, CDs.
yeah, I think CDs. They're a weird medium at the best of times, weren't they? But I
Not
like
as weird as when mini discs tried to come in.
mini discs were so odd.
They were bizarre. I've
They were
still
like
got a
tapes you could
couple.
skip.
It's so weird.
So weird. I remember my mate Fuller had one, and I was so jealous of it. And so he lent it to me for a weekend, so I could plug it into my 4-track to record all the demos I'd done at the time off, because they used to go onto another tape, and listening back through the songs was a pain in the ass. But on this mini disc, I could skip it. That was the only benefit of a mini disc, is that you could skip it.
See, I've got, thankfully, mini disc players didn't take off because my very first album when I was an angsty 15-year-old was recorded to a mini disc.
What album was this?
It was a. It was like, yeah, like I said, I was an angsty 15 teenager. I hated the world. It was a hardcore emo album.
There's no shame in this.
And thankfully, it will never see the light of day.
I noticed you're keeping that completely out of the conversation. I won't push any further. I think the first album I ever bought, the first album I ever had on mini disc, sounds cooler than it is. It was actually a Machine Head album, but that weren't mine. The first album I ever bought, I bought because I liked the cover, and it was Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I hated it. I hated
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
It was the worst thing. And I'd bunked off school, I'd taken my money, I'd gone down to the record store, I'd bought this album because it looked cool. I came home, played it, and I wanted to throw it in the bin. It was that bad. It was shockingly bad. It was like their first release or something. God, they never got any better either, did they?
No, they didn't.
Crap band. But yeah, so
yeah, my album that shall never see the light of day was called Savage Summer.
Savage Summer. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Savage Summer. Was it a savage summer?
It was horrible. I hated it.
Oh man.
It was sunny day after sunny day. I hated my life.
Give me some Paradise Lost and some Oxford Rain.
Yeah, I just wanted to put as much eyeliner around my face as possible.
Absolutely, I still do. I still do at gigs and things like that. But yeah, I really wish. I remember we were at Sonosphere when I was in my last band. We were at Sonosphere, and Paradise Lost were eating their dinner in catering, and sort of me and my guitarist were huge Paradise Lost fans as kids, and so we sort of sat opposite them while they sat around having their dinner, and we're like, this is the most surreal thing, having dinner with the most poetic sort of goth moody band ever, and they're all sort of sitting around eating shepherd's pie, looking quite happy, really.
Well, yeah, that's just it, isn't it?
I was like, we were so disappointed. We were like, can't they just moan? Can't they just complain or something? I mean, sell it to me.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got quite off the beaten track there.
Yeah, we did. That's because we answered all the questions.
We did. Well, we solved everything.
Yeah, we did. We solved it all.
You don't need a Cobra meeting, just need one of these.
Yeah. See, we'll fix it.
Yeah. We sorted it all out.
Oh, right. Well, thank you for coming back on.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Solving the music industry.
Yeah, man. One thing at a time. That's what we do.
And get down to Canterbury.
Yeah, see that Lady Luck.
Yeah,
that's going in there. If you know anyone from there, we'll send him a duck, and they should know what that means. If anyone gets a duck in the post, we're coming. We're on our way.
Love it.
Yeah, we'll definitely book in there because that's the sort of venues we'd like to do. Small, intimate, really sort of make these things happen. And
yeah, and like I said, it's a student city as well, so people just turn up.
Yeah, anywhere but my hometown, really. I just don't want to play here. I've got no love for this place whatsoever. But yeah, we're looking to do lots of small places like that. Would actually really sort of get out to some areas that are maybe starved a bit of live music as well. Like we said, the West Country, like down in Devon and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they're not always guaranteed a show when a band's out on tour, so we're looking forward to doing lots down there as well. It's gonna be cool.
Real.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
That's okay. Thanks for coming back on.
Anytime. Every 6 weeks for the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't reply to the next email, we will understand. that one. You'd just be like, no, I'm still getting over the duck. So
No, your duck can go up against my duck army.
that's it. Duck army. Oh yeah, you've got all the ducks. What have I done? The poor duck.
Right. Anyway, right. Duck quack. Yeah, that's enough of that. Right. Yeah. Thank you for coming on, and I'll speak to you next time.
Look forward to it. Take care.
Yep. Right, Brill. Thank you.
Bye.
Right, see you later. Bye.
See ya.